Yeah, please start.
Right. Yeah. So I will like to pass. I have attempted in August and I couldn't clear it marginally. So with the lot of motivation from Misbah, I think thanks to Misbah, I am again starting to appear. I'm planning to appear in May. Thanks, Misbah.
Thank you, Utkarsh, for joining. Obviously, this small margin and setbacks is part. And as we discussed, timing was a challenge. So we should not take things personally. Many times we are not able to do the work. And if we don't do the work, we don't reach there. But our emotions can take up, okay, I didn't clear, so like that. We need to be a little bit rational. So,
Yes.
we'll definitely do good this time. Okay, next, please.
Yeah, yeah. And I just for people to know, I wasn't with Misbah at that point of time when I appeared. Okay, just if there's any confusion. Yeah, thanks, team. Thanks all.
Thanks for clarity. Yes, next, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Akshay and I'm currently working with Adobe as a senior analyst and I just appeared for my MCS exam with Misbah. I hope I'll also clear and I'll go for a SCS. Like I just wanted to be a head start before exams results. Let's see what would be the result. I hope me, Rizwan and Prabhakar all got pass and easily go for SCS exam. I'll just hope so. So
Inshallah.
yeah,
All
thank
the
you.
very best, Akshay. And obviously, taking break for 6 week, we might lose that motivation. Usually, when we are, rushing, sometimes that rushing can help because we have that pressure and that's a positive pressure.
Yeah,
So that might help in a good way.
yeah, definitely.
So that's a good decision. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, Akshay. Hey, Misbah. Hi, everyone. This is Prabhakar here. So I have taken MCS last time. So I'm working now currently for Accenture. As Akshay said, I think maybe we should positive about crossing the line. So we're looking forward for that. Little tense in terms of what will be the output. Let's see. Thanks, Misbah, for all the support and the motivation you're giving us, pushing us to do it. So hopefully we sustain that.
Yes, most welcome.
So, hi everyone, this is Anurag. Actually, first of all, I would like to thank Misbah for actually motivating me for giving this exam. Actually, I enrolled in CIMA in 2017 until the 2026. I just keep on my student subscription is going on. So just like postponing this exam, and I don't know why, but currently I'm working in as a technip as a manager finance and accounts, and I'm a qualified chartered accountant, and this is the only exam which I have to prepare and give. So by God grace, maybe I'll be able to succeed.
Great. Thank you, Anurag. Thanks for trying. I know you're already qualified, but going for international qualification definitely can add more value.
Yes, Miss.
I like that positivity. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Next, Anjana or Suchita, anyone
Yeah.
can go ahead.
Hi, I'm Anjana. I recently completed my MSc Finance and I'm preparing for CIMASCS. As you mentioned, timing is the key and timing is the main issue for everyone here. So, with these classes, along with my strategic exam preparation, I'm hoping to improve my time management as well. Thank you.
That's a good point.
Hello, everyone. My name is Suchita and I'm from Bangalore. Currently, I'm not working, but I have around 2 years of work experience in tax. And I know Misbah since a long time now. He has inspired me a lot to take this CIMA SCS exam. So, his way of teaching is phenomenal. So, I'm going to attempt this time in May and hoping I'll clear it.
All the best, Suchita. You guys are putting me under a little bit of pressure. By I was asking just for introduction, not for the pressure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is also positive pressure, Ms. Bhatt.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Thanks. Okay. So hopefully we'll maintain this level of discussion in the session. Honestly, strategy case study is very, very interesting. And I personally also like strategy case study the most. I've done MCS, sometimes I do OCS also. But why SCS is so good? Because it's completely practical. And in the February attempt, the last time, we were very fortunate that 100% of the questions came what we discussed in the class. In November, it was 80%, around 80%, because very difficult to predict everything. But in February, fortunately, God's grace, everything was what we discussed. So I'm expecting 100% result. The only challenge that sometimes some students might have reached it very close is about the writing skill. So we practice so much about the technical aspect, the industry, even the questions. We are getting the questions what we expected, but students are struggling to write. But if some of you have attended the case study, for you guys, things will be a little bit easier. Why? Because there you have done 4 tasks. Now you have to do only 3 tasks. So that way things will be easier, but still we might have to work on the quantity. So writing skill is very important. It might sound very basic that we are preparing for world biggest management accounting exam, but still typing skill matters. Yes, it matters. I would say 50% of the exam is about your writing skill, and it's just about typing fast. It might sound very basic, but that's true. However, when I say typing fast means obviously you have to think fast, because if you are struggling in our thoughts, if you don't have clarity, then we cannot type fast. So we have to take quick decision. The best thing is we don't have one correct answer. Let's say they ask a very basic question, how to finance. So you're thinking about debt, equity, retained earnings, or maybe government grants. Basic example. This question is repeated in management case study also. This question is repeated in operational case study. Every level this is there. It's very basic. But we need to decide what options I will write and what I will conclude. Many times students are confused. Okay, I should write this or that. Which one is correct? Everything is correct here, or everything can be wrong. It's how you justify. Because strategy is mix of art and science. When we say science is something like if you boil water, it will evaporate. That is science, it's fixed. But art is something which is very, very flexible. What works here or what is very beautiful for one, maybe a little bit ugly for other one, right? So how you justify, that matters. So all of you can have different answer for the same questions. But how you justify, that matters. Yesterday I was reading one book. So it was story about Albert Einstein. So what happened, he was a professor, he gave out one physics paper. And when he gave the paper, so one of the students realized that this paper is for the last year. It was the exact same paper they tested for the last batch. And everybody was, feeling very shy to go to such a, expert teacher and say that, you have given the wrong paper. Everyone was thinking that he gave the wrong paper. But one of the guy, he just went and politely said, sir, what you have given is actually repeated. Maybe you might have done a mistake. Then he smiled and realized the questions are same, but in 1 year, the answers have changed. Why? Because physics have made improvement. I really like it so much because that's the same thing we are using here in strategic case study. What we have 6 months back might be totally different what we are writing now. And that in a positive way give us hint. What is happening in the real world, the same thing will come up. So in February exam, we have questions on tariff. And that tariff thing is going around from last 1 year. It has been a hot topic almost every day or every second day that's there in the news. And that was the topic in the exam. So questions might be same, but answer will change. Why answer will change? Because of the industry. Why answer will change? Because of the scenario. And today, as we are talking, we know what is happening globally. The biggest risk globally or for any economy is geopolitical risk. And no doubt, this will be #1 topic for your May exam. You don't need to mention any of the country, any name, but as a business, we have to see this political risk or geopolitical risk remain #1. So you already got one hint. I'm like 99% sure at least one variant will have that, or I can even say 100%. It should be there. Out of 6 variant, which we have 3 in May and 3 in August, at least one definitely should have that question. I hope it's making sense. Today's discussion, so you can always stop me and we'll talk on any of the point what I'm saying? Okay. So far, so good. So what you see on the screen, actually, I was discussing with Anurag this one yesterday. So basically, this is a pre-scene. I'll take you through the pre-scene. What does the pre-scene looks like? How it is different from management case study? Okay. And also what type of questions come? What is the suggested answer? So we don't have any confusion when you go forward. So basically, now you will ask that when our case study will come. So our case study will be out in April. Purposely, CIMA wants you to have small time, or we'll say less time, to prepare for the exam. And obviously, they know like 99% of students at strategic case study, they are working, or at least 90%. So exams are designed in such a way that we should try to excel in limited time. And it's possible. If you have proper support and if you work smart, it's very easy to do it. Very easy. You just need to follow the step. Many times what happens, especially in today's day and age, we are living in a world of over information. I'll say something, then you can go and Google or check on YouTube, someone is saying something else. Maybe both are correct. But what will happen that too much cook will spoil the food. So we have to follow one and just go step by step. Okay. So firstly, we'll go to the pre-scene material. So what is pre-scene material? Even before that, this context statement is very important. Let me read it. We are aware that there has been and remains a significant amount of change globally. Change means obviously they are referring like COVID happened and a lot of other things going on. To assist with clarity and fairness, we do not expect students to factor these changes in when responding to or preparing for case studies. The pre-scene and its associated exam, while aiming to reflect real life, are set in a context where current and ongoing global issues have had no impact or not had an impact. Let's say somebody is writing from Ukraine. So they'll definitely see it in a different way. So we don't need to consider special scenarios. However, if you give examples, that will be awarded. Remember, marks in the exam will be awarded for valid argument that are relevant to the question asked. Answers that make relevant reference to current affairs will, of course, be marked on their merits. For example, previously we were making electric vehicles. So electric vehicles, what they need? We need lithium. And for lithium, the biggest problem is mining. And mining will create a lot of pollution. So if that question comes up, you can always say, okay, most of our real world competitor like BYD and Tesla, they have acquired their mine. Not one mine, multiple mines. Why? To mitigate their risk. But we don't need to take it very, very specific in our case. Does that make sense?
Yes, Misbah.
Okay. Then, obviously, we have done with the context statement. What is pre-scene? Basically, this exam is like a role play. You are doing a role play of a senior finance manager, or we can say finance vice president, who work directly with the board of directors. You are part of the strategic team. Though you are coming from finance background, but when you are at the top, you should know the industry. For example, let's say a CFO from healthcare industry might not be expert in real estate. And same real estate CFO will not be expert in, let's say, FMCG industry. Right? So therefore, when we are at this stage, we need to know the industry. And we need to know in at least decently. I would not say expert, but decently. So one exercise we'll be doing as soon as we know our industry is to keep an eye what's happening. So you can spend 5 minutes and read news, at least the headlines, what's happening in that industry. Okay. We don't know the industry now, so no need of that. But as soon as next month we have our pre-scene ready, the industry will know. So we can keep an eye on that, because that is very important. What happens when you work at the top of the organization? You cannot have a view just focusing on your organization, because you are the driver. You are driver, board of directors are driver, you're working with them. So you have to drive according to the road, according to the situation. You cannot just think about inside. If you're a finance manager, finance officer, or working as account receivable payable, all that time this works. But now when you're at the top, this will not work. We need to see the external scenarios. A company which was well running for let's say 50 years, suddenly they can collapse because if they have not done their risk management properly, or if they have faced something which was never expected, or maybe government is against them, anything can happen. So your mindset need to change. And usually CIMA always, or I would say most of the time, I think it was only one time they have given a company which was not listed. So usually the company they give at this level is listed and multinational business. It's not limited to one country. So when it's in multinational, again, you need to understand geopolitical, economic situation. And now you're not mitigating economic risk only in your country. Now you have to think about other countries. So things will get very, very interesting. However, if we give logical answer to that, we'll get marks. A lot of times students, what they do, one of the mistake is they always try to rote write. They learn something from the text and they try to copy paste. That is 100% fail. We'll see that today also. We'll see what examiner is saying for the good answers and the bad answer. So pre-scene is a role play. So in this, they'll give you about the company, what you do, what industry it is, obviously the annual report, board of directors. What is the background of the board of directors? Sometimes they'll ask you a question that, do you think the CEO is good or we should replace the CEO? Or do you think that the audit committee is effective or not? Or chairperson should be replaced? So very, very strict and tough decisions you have to take. And obviously you cannot be passionate too much about that. We have to think about the shareholders. And when the company goes up, for example, if I compare this to management case study, the previous one management case study was an unlisted company. It was located only in one country and we were selling electronics, used electronics. Okay. And now this company is destruct, this is in logistics. We'll go into that. So what is the comparison? When company is multinational, when we are listed, we have to do a lot of things. Let's say we have 5 major points to do. Let's say take care of the stakeholders, do compliance, be very ethical, be sustainable, be profitable. 5 things. But imagine if you compare this to unlisted company which is just into one country or few cities. What is their objective? Just one. What's that? Be profitable. That's it. So when
maximization of profit.
Yeah, that's it. They might say so many things, but ultimately just one for small and medium enterprises, isn't it? So now we have so many objectives. You cannot just say profitability is there. Yes, it's there. But when you are at such a big size, we need to take care of all other aspects as well. And honestly, this exam is not about just clearing it. It should change your mindset. It should change your personality. You should be able to contribute more at work. If you create more value, obviously your value will also increase. Now, annual report, board of directors, they give principal risk. We'll go through it quickly. But all of this is just to make you familiar about the business. However, in the exam also you'll have access to the pre-scene, but usually we don't have time to go and read there. Therefore, they give us before itself. And this is like a starting point. For example, they have given risk. They have given, let's say, 10 risk. But we cannot limit ourselves to 10 risk. We have to go outside in the industry and research and find out maybe another 20, 30, 40 more risk. Then financial statements to see how we have done from the last year. Then news stories. So basically a summary of your company. The basic mistake we can do is, or I would say even a silly mistake is, we don't know our company. You are a senior finance manager, vice president, you're working for let's say 15, 20 years, maybe 10 years you have been into this company and you are giving wrong information about your company. That's very silly mistake. We should avoid. And why that can happen? Because students are not focusing on the pre-scene. So I usually recommend, you should read the pre-scene at least once a day. In the starting, it takes time. But when we read multiple times, you can finish in just 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, not more than that. Usually your role, everything remains the same. I'll just quickly read this. Destruck is a quoted company that offers a logistics service. So which business we are? Basically logistics service, and we are a quoted. What do you mean by quoted? Listed company. So there is a very high probability your pre-scene will also be about the listed company. What are the major problems of a listed company? Can you tell me? The biggest challenge, or let's say listed in logistics. You can give industry specific example, or you can just give generally. What are the major problems? Don't say compliance. No normal answers. Something deeper. Why this big fours are not getting listed? Why Deloitte, KPMG, why don't want to get listed?
They don't want to share. Sorry, you can continue. So for me, if you are listed, your shareholder has a power to change the decision or something. So maybe they don't want to dilute their power. That's why they don't list it.
What else? Power, we have to give power when we get listed. We have other stakeholders who become key players. What else?
The accountability becomes little more in this case. When you are a listed company, you have to comply to various rules, and disclosure of information will be more. This can sometimes turn to be a little challenging also when our stakeholders are not able to understand or agree to the decisions taken or what we have done. So you will end up spending more time in explaining and challenging managing them rather focusing on business. It can be a challenge. That to logistics service is generally very complex, and it has got multiple points of connections and areas of business spread. So you will have challenges there.
Got it. Anything else? Do you guys think if you have to decide, let's say a question comes, there's a probability we should become unlisted company. From quoted, we should become unquoted.
I don't think so. They allow that, right?
No, that's possible.
Oh.
Mispa, actually in logistic business, actually there are two terms like 3PL and 4PL, and obviously the involvement of the goods, like which can be like sometimes maybe more than the maybe penalty will be more than the items of the value of the items because of the criticality of the business, and they have to deliver on the same time.
Right. So how it is connected to being listed, Anurag?
Not able to connect the dots now.
I'll see maybe one point in unlisted company, your ability to negotiate with vendors, get people onboarded and do business on a faster pace because your rules are little limited and it is more flexible. While when we are a listed company, you have your chain of processes and practices to be followed, and it has to take a lot of permissions as well to be done because it's the requirement. In that way, logistics business, what happens is there are situations where you have multiple port of station where when you have to connect for an interim basis, you have to immediately onboard a vendor, give them something, get them to do it for your customer who is sitting in the other end of the world. He wants it to be done on the same day. So this type of things happens in logistics industry because I'm currently working for a logistics industry. That's where I'm saying because of being a listed company and have a multiple processes in place to meet them and do this, it will end up in a customer escalation and then you will end up resolving the issue. So that's how it is. In that type of a scenario, it makes you think, well, if you are better unlisted, you can do things fast because decisions can be taken by one person and can do it.
Right. That's a very good point. Decision making will be faster because what happens, even the right decision, if you take too long to decide, it will become wrong or the effectiveness is gone. And honestly, if we see at the top, I'm very glad you point out that point. Ultimately, at the top, it's all about decision making. Even your role here, ultimately, you have to do a recommendation. That means you have to take a decision. Leadership skill is one of the most important. They are looking in strategic case study. So decision making. So decision making gets slowed means ultimately we are losing the competitive edge. Let's say there is an opportunity in the market and we are too slow to decide. And why we are slow? Because there are so many stakeholders to satisfy. Opportunity is gone. That's one of the biggest weakness of a quoted company.
Means the power dilution is the main thing. So because the power is diluted and
Power is diluted, right?
yeah. So because the decision makers are more now, more in number, definitely. Everyone has their own opinions.
Right.
And takes time, yeah, of course, yeah.
So like this, we need to see then you are a senior manager in district finance function. This role will remain the same. You report directly to the board. So basically in every organization, sorry, someone is saying something. Okay. Usually the senior manager term can be different in different organization. Here CIMA senior manager means it's like vice president of finance or head of finance because you report directly to the board. That means you're reporting to finance director or you're reporting to CEO, chairperson, anybody in the board. So you'll have two roles, that is special project and strategic matters. So basically many times it get confused. What is special project? What is strategic matter? So technically in strategic matters, what CIMA is linking here is whatever we face in our normal day-to-day business. Day-to-day as in not operational level, but let's say we have to decide our dividend. Last time we gave 30%. This time we are deciding how much to give. Or we need to see whether we should continue our contract with the audit. We have outsourced internal audit or selecting the vendor. That is all strategic matters. But special project is something which you do as outside of the business. Let's say you are going to a new country, you're launching a new product, you're launching a new service, you're acquiring a business. That becomes a special project. So what we'll do smartly, once we analyze the pre-scene, we'll make a list of at least 10 to 15 special projects that we can do, that we are expected to do. And then we'll make a list of 10 to 15 or even 20 strategic matters which can be asked for us. And how we'll get the hint of this both? When we understand the pre-scene, when we understand the industry. For example, the previous one, we were making electric cars. So the biggest problem was battery. So there is high probability that we can acquire something with the battery technology, or we have issues with the strategic matters. So we have got that both the questions. In special project also, acquiring a new company because they have got some liquid lithium new technology. That was a special project. And strategic matters was we were working on an R&D and we are discussing how to manage some problems. That was strategic matters. So like this, if you do smartly, we'll get a hint, and obviously that can become your exam question. Then Destruct is based in Roundland. They give a fictional country, a developed country that has active and well-active stock exchange, currencies are dollar. It remains the same. IFRS, we report in IFRS. However, there is no need at strategic level to know IFRS because this is part of the lower level. So you don't need to worry about that. But why IFRS can be beneficial for us? Because if you're comparing with other real world companies, it becomes easier. You're comparing your financial statements with them. Okay. Now they give you the industry analysis. As I said, that industry analysis is very, very important. So they give you very basic industry analysis. Then we'll do our research. We'll do our research means I'll do the research and we'll make a document and we'll provide to you, which will have the industry analysis. Okay. And we'll discuss in class. But to start with, in the pre-scene, they'll provide us the industry. Why they provide industry? Because you are sitting at the top now. Your decision should be based on the industry. For example, if you talk about gearing, debt to equity ratio, so 50% is considered the final. Anything more than 50% is considered risky, isn't it? But imagine if you are bank. In banks, they are geared up to 90% and it's normal. You don't say banks 90% gear is risky. But logistic business, if it is 50% plus, we'll say it's risky. Any other manufacturing business or service business, more than 50 will say it's very risky, right? So what is normal in one industry is totally dangerous in another industry. Therefore, industry knowledge is important. In fact, that's what is important. Like some of you guys are working at very senior level, so you know why industry is important. If you want to go to another senior position, obviously it will make sense for you also and the employer also to give you position in the same industry rather than going in new industry. Because when we work so long in certain industry, we develop something called tacit knowledge that is very specific and that comes with experience, that years and years of experience, right? In fact, just a little bit off topic, but when I was researching and what I found from my limited experience, I would say, I cannot say it's too much, but usually the successful people, the CEOs and all, they have selected few industries. For example, now you guys want to become CFO and some of you are already working at very top. But if you want to go at the top, you have to select few industries. Okay, I like healthcare, I like real estate. Select 2-3 industry, and within the industry, switch the companies. Don't just keep on switching industries altogether for a small hike. Because what will happen if you have, let's say, 15 years of experience in 5 different industries? It's like jack of all, master of none. But imagine 15 years you just work in 2 industries or 3 industries maximum. So you work in 2 industry and you like both the industries and you are passionate about it. And you know that industry is growing. When industry grows, the opportunities also grows. So you are going with the wind and that will give you the advantage. Plus you have this professional qualifications, everything. Plus you are in the same industry. So anybody looking for a CFO or finance head will choose you over others, despite having the same experience, even more experience, because you are from the industry. Mr. Rizwan, you can correct me. You know it better because you are already doing this role.
Yeah, of course. Industry definitely it matters because whenever someone switches, especially at the higher level, they they must have knowledge of in and out, especially at the strategic level. And strategic level, you will have understanding only if you have spent some a good period, good duration in the same industry and at a certain level. Otherwise, definitely you will not be able to have that knowledge which is required for the higher positions. So it's definitely important, vital to have the same or similar industry at least. It's within healthcare. If you talk about healthcare is huge. So within healthcare, at least you should have knowledge. Maybe hospitals, maybe the medications, maybe the specific services or some similar. Yeah. So something similar you must have experience so that people can pick you easily. Otherwise, it will not be easy for the company and for yourself as well to cope up with the higher position.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So these are like smart moves we have to make. Knowledge and experience is not enough to grow in career. There are so many small things which is like open secret, but very few people are focusing on that. Because many times our decisions are tempted and we are looking at the short term gain. Plan long term, things can be in our favor. We can be the deciding person rather than somebody else deciding our future every time. We'll become a powerful stakeholder. Okay, so that's about the industry, and that's what is CIMA is also teaching you. So
Yeah.
everything about the industry here, what we do, and who is our clients. So here, for example, these are our clients. This car companies. Then we have other things. In fact, logistic is the thing which is being or which is made the world connected. So transportation, inventory, warehouse, storage, administrative. This is like cost. So they'll give you the breakup to understand our business model. And obviously, we have different kind of business within the logistic. Like in healthcare, we discussed. So every industry is. So we need to have a decent knowledge. We'll go a little bit deep. how shared versus dedicated 3PL work, how storage works. They have given Maersk example. Maersk is one of the famous company. All of this industry. No need to read now because this is not our prescience. So no need to spend our time. Just to give an idea, I'll share this file. You can go through it if you want later on. So basically the breakup, how logistic work through road, through rail, through air. So usually it is road, but nowadays government are investing a lot of money to make it through rail. For example, China is making international rail. We all know that they're working on certain project. They already got bullet train locally in their country for logistics, because by rail it is the cheapest. By air it is the expensive. And I mean, sea can be even cheaper than rail, but again it has other risk involved. And road obviously is the most expensive, but road is useful for the last mile. Many times it is mix of all. Especially if you are looking at international logistics, it can be mix of all. It will have sea, air, rail, or at least 2, 3 of them. Basically end to end how it works. How trucks work, how rail. So much, still like 4, 5 pages have gone and we are still into the industry. That shows why industry is important. And in fact, as I said in the start, we have to be smart. And the smartness is to see what is the industry trend, what is the industry pain point. That pain point will be your exam question. And we'll be discussing that. We'll be discussing that throughout our sessions. And we'll also discuss how we can solve that pain point. And that can be your answer, intermodal and everything. Then after giving a lot of information, they'll talk about the company. And this is where you should know completely. Maybe industry, some points if you forget is fine. But here about your company, it will be a very bad impression if you write it wrong. For example, when we established and how long we have been working in this, when we got listed. So technically 1950, it was a very, old company. Then we have 20,000 people, 7,000 drivers. That's a very big employees. 3PL logistic, intermodal, whatever we do. So this is about the company. Now, these are the facts about your company you should know. What is inventory management, how we do it. Shared service, outsource. So from here, it's all facts and figure. Obviously, you don't need to memorize everything, but you should have a decent idea what we are doing. If you see our client categories, food, public sector and industrial, general merchandise. So in food, what happens? Food items can be perishable, and at least some of the food items are very highly perishable. Or it might need trucks, which is temperature control, let's say refrigerated trucks. So IT remains very important. Again, it's a very commonly asked topic. And I would say this is again one of the top which can be asked for me, because this IT opportunity also is there and threat is also there, cyber risk. Then mission and values is very important here, because they might ask you a direct question so many times that whatever we are doing, is it according to our mission and vision, or is it according to our mission and values? So some business give very specific mission what they are doing, and some business they give just open-ended. For example, here they have given a very vague mission. It doesn't tell what we do. This truck gets things done. So we don't know actually in what business we are. Then in vision, they have talked about to have a positive impact on all stakeholders. Remember, we just discussed, being the listed company, we have pressure. Maybe we have to mention this in pressure, but no other choice. All stakeholders. And when we say all stakeholders, that's the biggest headache for the companies. Through the provision of sustainable supply chain strategies and services. Then core values. This we need to know. Many times core values remain the same. For example, they will talk about integrity, they'll talk about sustainability, they'll talk about safety, they'll talk about giving excellent services. Then the board of directors. Board of directors becomes another important topic, because if we look at P3, P3 is one of the things, I'll come to that. There we have a dedicated chapter on corporate governance. So we have to have idea about UK corporate governance. What does it say? For example, if you guys are working in US, it's slightly different from UK. For example, UK follow principle based approach and US follow rule based. So in US, if you don't comply, we have to face the consequences. In UK, if you don't comply, you have to give a legitimate reason, and if you can justify, it's fine. It's comply or explain. Then how balanced should be the board? What committees are mandatory? What committees are suggested? For example, audit committee, remuneration, nomination is mandatory, and risk committee is good to have. So do we have that committees? And definitely one question come from this board of director committees. Like here, we have all three committees. So no need to get overwhelmed. We'll go through this in detail. For now, just I'm giving you an idea. And we might also have to remember each person's background, where they are coming from, what expertise they bring in. Sometimes they'll ask you a question that we want to get a new person in our board of directors. Let's say the board is not balanced. We need to get a new person. What skills we should look at? So obviously you want a skill that is complementary. Do you want to get a repetitive skill? Obviously not, right? How you can answer that question? You can only answer if you know what skills we already have. So these are the facts we need to remember. And obviously, once we start reading it multiple times, you can remember it. You don't need to, again, by heart it line by line, just have an idea what that person do, what is their background. Then principal risk, like we have the entire P3 on risk. So risk is 100% asked question. We'll make a list of the top risk. Okay, they have given some basic risk, but obviously we'll go in detail. Risk impact, risk mitigation, what they have given. Maybe their mitigation we are not happy. We can give our own mitigation. So what do you mean by principal risk? What is principal risk? Hello, anybody?
Maybe by which company's going concern can be like affected.
So you're saying for the future.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Anjana, are you there? Anjana and Sujita, you guys are very silent.
It's like maybe the biggest risk the company may face, like which will affect the business like in a serious way.
Right, good point. So basically, principal risk is, you can say biggest risk, or if you want to put it more clearly, it is the risk which is high impact and high probability. Probability is also high, and impact, I mean the loss it can create, the problem it can create is also very high. That is principal risk. So it's not like we have only this risk. We might have a risk register where we are putting down every basic risk as well. But that's not the principal risk, because principal risk is something where we are putting a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of energy. Okay. Sometimes they might ask, our principal risk was not effective. why we have missed such a major risk, who is to blame. So the blame can go to the risk committee. Then you have to discuss how much we can blame or what we should not blame. So many times you'll get a discussion question. Then obviously they give you the profit and loss statement. And the best part is they give you for the last year and this year. So it's easy to compare whether we have gone up or not. Like if you see our profit after tax, from 84 it has gone to 110 million. That means we are in the right direction. But is it good enough? Then we have to compare with the competitor. Carry group 179 to 182, they are so big. For us is 110 and they have 182. We are biggest in one country, but they are also located in the same country, but they are more profitable and more bigger than us. So competitor numbers, the financials also matters, and it adds a good value. Then
Yeah, Misbah, but I think we are good through the percentage terms like 84 to 110, 110. So maybe percentage wise we are good, and it can also show that we are somewhere getting the market share. No,
right, possible.
yeah.
So we need to look at different angles. Obviously, they give very limited information. So we have to do some guesswork, or we have to look at some real world companies and try to understand. We can also compare the assets, what assets we have. What are our total asset? Let's say it's 946. It has gone up. We have taken some more PPE or plant and equipment. And if you compare to them, they're even bigger here. So definitely more asset means we have more vehicles in this case. Let's say more truck. And obviously because of more truck, they're getting more business. Possible. So we need to see whether we should buy more truck or maybe we can work smartly and lease the truck. So we don't have the capital expense also, plus we are getting increased revenue. You have to think like an entrepreneur. You have to think like a business owner. Business acumen is another thing that is being tested here. Okay. Usually they will never ask any number about the competitors. Sometime, very rarely, they have asked, especially when the competitor is so big that they want to acquire us. They want to merge them. Or sometimes if it is smaller, we are trying to acquire them. But if both of them are big, we are not acquiring them, neither they are acquiring us. Why? Because it will create a monopoly and government won't allow it. If any company has more than 25% market share in the UK, it is considered like a monopoly. So the competition authorities can come in. Makes sense? Then share price history also they give. This is very important. Again, if there is one question that is being tested in almost every exam, I would say 80 to 90% of the exam is share price. Because with share price, they can link to stakeholder, they can link to risk, they can link to effectiveness of the CEO, everything. So CIMA loves to test on the share price. What kind of question they ask on share price? Share price has gone down, what to do? Sudden increase in share price, insider trading. Okay, how to maintain the share price? Or is it possible to make 0% this year and just give increase in share price? Or if the share price is doing good, no need to pay dividend. As a shareholder, the owner of the business, who is the owner? The shareholder. What shareholder are looking at? They're looking at two things. First, how much dividend they are getting. Another thing is increase in share price. Right? So at least one thing we should give them to satisfy. Like here, if you see our share doing, sorry, Mr. Bagar. Yeah. Hello.
No,
Sorry, something?
right. Healthy. Sorry.
You were saying something?
No. Sorry, I was coughing. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So if you see like our share price was stable and suddenly it gone up, anything like that can happen. Why this happened, and we can guess. Maybe it was a COVID time. Suddenly dip happened and suddenly everything went up post COVID. Possible. Sustainability report, or what we are doing for sustainability. This is also becoming an important topic nowadays. Governance, strategy, risk management, everything comes as a part of sustainability. Then news stories. So news stories and comics, there are two things. So first is just to give you an extra idea about the industry. Therefore, they'll put like some kid is asking certain question and answering on that. And second part of that, this is the same. Second part of that is about the news article. This is about health and safety. Yeah, around land's first fully automated container terminal. How these things are working. Sometimes how logistics can disrupt the entire highways. Or here they in UK they call it motorway. Green loans becoming more popular, or green finance. This is a new thing they are adding in the syllabus this time for May. It was already mentioned in the case study previously. Green finance. What is green finance? Technically, we'll get a little bit benefit on the interest rate. Like here they have mentioned. The recipient of green finance also benefit from both the reputational advantage of having met the criteria for the provision of green finance and also the small reduction in the cost of debt. But sometimes the criteria can be difficult. That's it. So this is how our pre-screen will be. Any questions?
No, Misbah.
Everyone is clear? Now, until we get the pre-screen, what we'll do, we'll build the base E3, P3 and F3. Okay. And before going to that strategy, I'll just show you the question quickly, how the question looks like in the exam. Okay. Some of these things might be very basic, but it's always good to, review it, because sometimes small issues can cost us big. So this will be your exam screen. If some of you have given MCS, as you know, it was slightly different previously. It was like 4 tasks. Now it is just 3 and it was 45 minutes. But here it is 60-60. This is a number of task 1 and subtask 2. Sometimes this AB can become ABC, but it doesn't matter. 60-40, 50-50, or it can be 30-70, anything. So technically you cannot carry forward the time. 60 minutes means 60 minutes. And you cannot go back once it is done. So technically it's 3 different screen you will get. Within 60 minutes, you can do anything. If it is 60-40, but you want to give it 50% of your time, nobody cares. Maximum 60 minutes. But you cannot save 10 minutes in the first one and say, okay, I'll give 70 minutes in the second task. Not possible. And why they give you percentage? Because percentage means marks. So technically this 60 minutes, the first one is 50 marks, let's say, because out of 150 if you are doing. So 150 means you should give like 30 marks for first and 20 marks for the part B. So that percentage is about the quantity. If something is asked for 40%, no need to write very detailed. Let's say 4 or 5 paragraphs is enough. But if it is of 60%, if you write 4 paragraphs, that's not enough. So this is a hint on the quantity or the level of depth you should write, how detailed you should write. Clear? So writing practice and typing practice, you guys should start immediately. Even if you just type faster, and let's say you're writing 1 paragraph extra on all questions, let's say somebody write one paragraph extra, just one paragraph, 4 sentences extra. So A, B, A, B, A, B. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So let's say minimum 1 mark. It's very average paragraph. Okay. I'm just taking the worst case scenario. 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark, 4, 5, 6. 6 marks. 6 extra marks you will get just because of your typing. And honestly, if you see most of the students who have resit, they are in 70s. But nobody is working on that because it sounds very boring. It's like, okay, I will work on technical part. I want to know that difficult part. But where we are getting easy marks, we are not focusing there. You guys get the point? Even if you get just 1 mark for that paragraph, and if you write 6 extra paragraph only because of your typing speed, you have the same level of knowledge, same level of expertise, you can get 6 extra marks. 6 extra marks, very, very big. Very big.
Yeah, no doubt.
I know a lot of students who got 79 and they gave up on CIMA. Lot of them. 79. Because they got emotional and they have taken emotional decision, and sometimes they are coming after 5 years, 6 years. Okay, I want to do it again. And nobody told them about the typing speed. And many times what happened, in the training also, obviously I'm also improving, trying to improve, but we don't focus on this easy things, because to show difficult things, discuss difficult things, it looks good, and each one of us will feel okay, our time is being used in a valuable way. But we should always start with low hanging fruits, something very easily available, because our aim is to pass. Obviously the first aim is to clear the exam. Second aim is to get the knowledge, get the case study, industry, change our mindset, improve our personality. Everything is there. But if you're doing the second objective and failing in the first one, doesn't make sense. So I request again, dedicatedly start working on the typing. 20-30 minutes daily you should work on.
So, Mr. What is the pass marks here? What's the
It's
percentage?
same.
Sorry?
Out of 150, we need 80 marks. It's same.
Okay.
This overall is same.
Fine.
So we need 80 and students are getting 70, 75, 78, 77, most of them.
Okay.
Those who prepare, they are failing in 70s. And they are not focused. 90% of them or 99% of them never worked on this. They never thought quantity can help them. In fact, like this, there are so many points, smart points. With just one suggestion, it can improve your marks. Like I said, this 6 marks is guaranteed for each one of you. Guaranteed if you work on practice. Like this, I have so many hints. Another hint is if you use industry example. Let's say in each task, I'm not saying in subtask because it might not be possible or both the tasks are same. If you use one industry example, 1, 2, 3, 3 extra marks, 100% guaranteed. 100%. You see, without doing anything, we have got 9 extra marks. And nobody can deny it. So this is a smart way. That's it. We got the exam, So these are the things we should focus on. We'll make a list of the example also. We'll give you everything, don't worry. And you can also keep an eye on the industry events out. So you can also bring an example which you feel is relevant. So we'll see as smart as we can work. Okay. Now this will be our exam screen. You get an email from CFO, sometimes CEO, sometimes chairperson, anybody in the board. Though you are not part of the board, excuse me, but you have to think like you are working with the board. You are part of them. You're not physically part, but indirectly you are part of them. They will not ask you question about other issues. Usually it's strategic. And when strategic means it is about entire organization. You are no more only related to finance. You are finance expert, but your responsibility is beyond finance. So it's your responsibility to know other areas as well. So first they have asked about stakeholders, environmental protesters. Then they have talk about risk. Again, we have strategy for these questions. Anyways, we'll not go into that. Just want to show you this. Okay. And the format remains the same. Usually they give a news article or email, anything as a reference material. Climate protest disruption distribution center news article to give you an idea. Then once this is done, you have this box to write your answer. You can bold, underline. This is really important if someone is writing the case study first time. Then second question. Again, obviously 60 fresh minutes you have. You have 2 questions. Then you have here it's a board minute. Increase use of rail transport. Then you have an answer sheet. So technically here you have fresh timing. You cannot carry forward the time as you discussed. Then this is the last question. UN SDGs. Sustainable Development Goals they are talking about. Campaigners 40-60. And every question have a reference. You're done. That's it. Now this is a different task. Obviously there are so many they have given. Any question here?
No, it's good.
So basically when we are typing, we need to also take care about the structure, how it looks, everything matters. Okay. So second question will not go through because it's the same. You guys have understood. We'll see if we can get to the answer directly. Okay. So these are the answers. The first question was about stakeholders. So if you see here, they have not given any headers, but usually it is recommended by CIMA itself. You give header if you make it look good, that might add value. But here they have just given it like this. So if, let's say somebody is writing exact same answer, will they be like a rank holder? No. Maybe locally they can be in their country, but not international. They'll pass. Yes, obviously they'll pass. So there is always, an upper limit we can push. This is an open-end answer. There is always a better way you can write it, or at least you can structure in a better way. But as you can see, one thing which I was talking, the quantity is big. Maybe the font is smaller. You might be thinking is small. Let me make it a little bit big. The quantity is really big. So 1 hour, 2 questions. Let's say even if you want to divide it to 50-50, 30 minutes. Okay. And in 30 minutes, you cannot type entire 30 minutes. You have to read the question. You have to plan for it. You have to keep last 5 minutes for reviewing for it, both the question. So technically in 15 to 20 minute max, you have to write this much. And that's not easy. You need super clarity in your mind. Obviously clarity will come with practice. And this typing speed will come with typing practice. So these are small things. We need to focus it. Usually, honestly, even I was doing this during like 2 weeks before the exam when we start mock. But I realized, and I have seen normally also outside students are failing with very small margin. And most of the students, those who fail with small margin, they have done any one of these silly mistakes. If they avoid this, this can be done. So it's better you are clear that we are not doing it, or you can be ready to tackle that. Then risk ratio subtask B, done. The answer. Obviously we are not reading the answers. We'll see if we can get any examiner's point. Yeah, let's see the marking guide now. Okay, this is very important. I hope everyone is following it. General marking guidance, how your marking is done. Because once we get the result, whether it's MCS, OCS, SCS, they don't give details. They just have 4 or 5 points. They'll give you arrow up or down. Okay. Marking schemes should be applied positively with candidates rewarded for what they have demonstrated and not penalized for omission. So one good thing is there is no negative mark, not penalized for omission. Okay. All marks on the scheme are designed to be awarded, and full marks should be awarded when all level descriptor criteria are met. We'll see later on. They have different levels. If you explain it in a better way, obviously you go to the upper level. The marking scheme and indicative answers are provided as a guide to markers. So let's say if you become a marker tomorrow, so it's not like you can decide how much to give. They have very much control how much the marker can do. Maybe 1 or 2 mark difference can come between two marker on the same answer. It's very much controlled. They are not intended to be exhaustive, and other valid approaches must be rewarded equally. Students do not have to make all of the points mentioned in the indicative answers to receive the highest level of marking scheme. In the answer means the above answer. An answer which does not address the requirement of the task must be rewarded no marks. So first common reason why students fail in the case study exam is misunderstanding of the question. And obviously when they misunderstand, the answer goes, let's say they're asking about south and we're writing about north. So we'll get 0. Especially students those who have got 40, 50 after preparing so much, that's their thing. Maybe 1 or 2 tasks, they have gone in a different direction altogether. Then, and this has happened with the students those who have practiced so much. In fact, it happened with us. I was expecting them to get a rank to score very good, and they failed very bad. Why? Because of this. And why this can happen? Because if the student is not showing composure, they're getting into pressure. They're getting too much nervous. And it can happen. So we need to practice that. Then markers should mark according to the marking scheme and not their perception of where the passing standard may lie. Okay, this doesn't matter. Where markers are in doubt as to application of marking scheme to a particular candidate script, they must contact the lead marker. Okay, we'll go to the important point. This is how it is marked. Let's say this is the task 60, 40 and all. So there are 3 levels, level 1, 2 and 3. Let's say no rewardable material is something, obviously the student went off topic, means they'll get 0. It was about stakeholder and stakeholder management. Let's say student 1 just defined about the stakeholder, they'll get only 1 mark. So this is fail. 1 mark is also obviously fail. Now, second level, if we talk about status of protesters. Status of protesters means what they are trying to do. So little bit explanation. So maybe 3 can be passed, 2 can be failed. But what is our target is explain status of protesters with justification. So basically, if you want to get good marks, you have to justify. And I think we use this justification word so many times already. Doesn't matter how you explain, justification is very, very important. So our target is this level 3 answers. Same thing if you see in the second question, it was about other issue. But again, ultimately, if you see advantages, disadvantages, we don't need disadvantages here, just advantages. Identify advantage, discuss advantage. Discuss advantages with justification. Let's say you have chosen 3 advantages, and some of you chosen different 3 advantages. So you have to justify why this 3, and the other person has to justify why the other 3. Obviously, when you have to discuss also, justify also, what will happen? You have to write more words. So typing speed will help you. You cannot write small answer and get into level 3. Not possible. You cannot be confused in your mind. Then again, it can be a problem. If you're confused, you cannot justify, or it will waste time. Same thing here, disadvantage and justification. Obviously, it's not a very good detailed analysis of how the marking is done, but this is what information we have. Same thing here, recommend is justification. Many times they won't ask you directly justification, you have to do on your own. Recommend is justification. Everywhere it's the same thing. Any question here?
No.
But it's pretty self-explanatory. It's all just justification. And this is another question. So they have given question, they have given answer, and they have given marking rate. So all of your answers should have justification.
So when are we getting the, what is the date of the case study?
We should get in April 1st week.
April 1st week, okay. And when
But
are
we have a lot of
usually-
work to do before that. Sorry.
When are the usual exam? Which May?
Exam is in 3rd week. Exam dates, everything is already out. They have an annual timetable. I can share that. I'll share you that on the group when the pre-scene will come, when the exam dates are there, which 3 days, and when the results will be out, everything I can give.
Okay, please, thank you.
So what is our plan now? I hope this is clear. I hope you can see the new screen. So basically, in order to clear the exam, a lot of times students think strategic case study is just one exam. No, that's not possible. Unless we have the base. The base is E3, P3, and F3. So this is our to-do list. We are not limited to this, but obviously, this is like the primary thing. So first is we have to master the pre-scene analysis. Currently, we don't have the pre-scene, so we'll wait for the pre-scene. But wait means we have to get started. So we'll work on these 3 pillars, E, P, and F. Okay. P3 is obviously risk management. F3 is financial strategy. And E3 is about strategic management. So whenever the question they are asking, it can be related to this. Obviously, the theory is less. But what we study here, we can apply there. For example, stakeholder. Okay. You guys can answer stakeholder question without reading anything. But if you ask me where it is linked, it is related to E3. Risk register, there was a question. Or principal risk, where it is coming from. Or corporate governance, it is coming from P3. So we can get an idea. Or if they ask you about business valuation, if they ask you about share price, where it is coming from, it is coming from F3. So our aim is, all of you should pass in the first term. That's very clear. That's our plan. And to do that, we don't want to omit anything. We want to cover up everything. Obviously, we'll find a smart way because of the time constraint, but we'll not omit anything so that we are completely prepared. Okay. I'll show you also the plan what we have for this in detail. Then industry analysis. Industry analysis, as soon as the pre-scene is done, we'll make the industry analysis and we'll discuss in the class. So it's not on you that you should look for the industry analysis or get it from anyone. No. We'll work and we'll discuss through end to end. That should be sorted. This is our to-do list in the class. Then we have to make an Excel sheet. We did in MCS also, but here things might change. For example, SWOT, or let's say PESTEL. It might sound very basic, but here in SWOT and PESTEL, we have to think from a strategic perspective. For example, PESTEL, if we are doing, we cannot limit ourselves just to the local country because we are multinational business. So our analysis will go a little bit deep, little bit wide. Right? Same thing with the SWOT analysis. Then risk is a very common topic. We have entire P3 on risk. So we'll come up with top 50 risk. And obviously, when you talk about top 50 risk, we cannot just give basic level of risk. We need to have some level of depth, some level of detailed analysis of the risk. And it cannot be just random. We have to look at the PESTEL. We have to look at the industry. Then only we'll come with the risk. We cannot do risk management or the risk list before understanding the industry or before understanding the PESTEL part. No, not possible. That means you are giving generalized. and this sheet should be personal and all of you have to work. I'll help you, but I'll not provide this. It's like work. We'll do it together. And this is what will be the go-to list for you. Then stakeholder analysis of 20 and their needs. Like the first question we saw, it was about stakeholder. We'll make a list of top 20 stakeholders, what they need from us, how to manage them. Then 100 important topics. Actually, we have brought it down to 50 now, which can be asked in the exam. This usually will do just 1 week before the exam or 10 days. Because if you do it now, as soon as the pre-scene is out, we'll not have motivation to do all of this. And imagine in the worst case, we didn't get question from here. We don't want that situation. Then we'll have at least 5+ mocks for marking. In fact, this February, we gave student 10 mocks. I was like, how much ever you want to write, you write, we'll do the correction and give the feedback. But at least 5 mocks you can write, or at least 3 mocks you can write, and remaining 2-3 mocks you can just read and write, or you can read and just read the answer. And out of 3, at least 2 mocks you can do in the timing, like continuous 3 hours, to get that experience. Because by the time we reach in 3rd hour, we'll get very tired. Then you'll get mock review and marking support from us. Answer structuring and planning will focus. And if anything comes up, which you guys suggest or which we feel, along the way we should work on, we'll try to incorporate that also in our plan. Any question?
So, Misbah, just wanted to understand, like from the answer structure.
Yeah.
I assume that minimum 400 words 400 words can be written for the 60% of weightage answer, right?
So
approximately this is
minimum.
Yeah.
So basically, there is no minimum and maximum. Like I said, everyone can have a different way of looking at it. What I say usually is write at least 1 paragraph for 10%. And when I say 1 paragraph, that is like 4 to 5 sentences. So maybe you are saying in words and I am saying in paragraph, but
yeah,
it might be the same. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It should be decent quantity. And if you can write
Yes.
more, it's beneficial.
Fair enough.
This is clear. Now we are starting with E3, P3, F3, but I have a good news for that. What we will do is, for example, if you can see the new screen, I'll give all of you access to this. Okay. Technically, this might have a little bit of Feb also, but you don't need to worry about it. Let's say now we are starting with P3. Okay. So for P3, we have like textbook can be around 1000 pages. So we have worked smartly. That is not required for a case study. So we have made our own notes. This one. I'm going to look at summary. So here in 70-80 pages or even less, you'll get all the 10 chapters. Like here, if you see around 70 pages, everything is done. This is your go-to documents. Okay. And even more important part than this is, this was not there in MCS. We are planning to do it, but for SCS is there is, we have made a concise video of each section. Let's say there are 10 chapters. So we have made each chapter in like, 25 to 30 minutes. Or for example, if I go to, let's say chapter 3 here. Chapter 3 was the biggest. Hello everyone, welcome to Case Minute. We have it for all other chapters. Let's say go to cybersecurity. Hello everyone, welcome. This is just like 20 minutes. So my request to all of you would be, when you're coming to the session, let's say now in the next class, we are planning to start with P3. So you can spend time and look at this video. So what will happen when we start, we are not discussing basic. Like we're not starting with ABCD, we are going directly to the scenario. So what will happen? Our level of discussion will improve, and we'll be discussing what kind of topics can be asked and how to answer. So it will be like a win-win situation. And some of you, when you get time, you can always go faster also. Let's say we are on the second, third chapter we are discussing, and you got some day off, you can just go faster. You don't need to, wait for it. Are you getting the point? Same thing we'll do for the pre-senior industry as it arrives. So everything will be available for you. We'll do discussion, we'll connect live. It's not, like an alternate to our live sessions. It is like a complementary thing. So you can go faster. And we can also have more time. Let's say if you are starting from scratch, it is taking 1 hour for a chapter. But if you have already seen all of you, then we might do in 30 minutes. So another 30 minutes, we can add more value. Make sense?
Yes, Mr.
Yes, Ms. Pa.
So all of you will have access to this. And obviously this is what I showed is just for P3, and we have it for E3, F3 and everything. Let's say this is E3. E3 was like around 13 chapters. This is 31 pages. This is one of the chapters. Hello, welcome to Keystone Academia. Today, so what to do for that? We have to build time. Okay. So our aim until we get the pre-scene is to master these 3 subjects. But now you must be saying in the start, you said theory is not important. Why we are doing? The reason we are doing it, they might not ask you directly from the theory, but we'll apply it. We'll apply it to the scenario, and it will improve our understanding. Honestly, I'll tell you, I have students I have seen, they didn't touch E3, P3, F3, and within 15 days they have cleared the case. But that is a little bit rare, and we don't want to take that unnecessary risk, right? And another reason is we have made it very concise. If anyone of you want to go for individual paper P3, I would say, that paper itself might take 3-4 months. But now we are doing everything in like 3 months. So we have made it concise, we have made it smart. You can listen to that in audio version also when you're traveling to work, when you're driving, you're walking, anytime. It can be utilized. And everywhere, even when you listen, I record it in a way that we are thinking about the case study. I keep on mentioning in each topic what type of question will come from this topic and how it is interlinked. Though it is theory, but it's completely applied. We're not discussing models. We're discussing how this model can help, and we're looking at the case study. Or another thing you guys can do is apply to your own company where you're working. Clear?
Yes.
So from this notes, for you, this E3, P3 and F3, these notes are only important. Other notes are for obviously the February case study. You don't need to worry about it. Okay. So we can start with P3 because I feel like P3 is the most important. In fact, I've seen sometime the entire paper, all 3 tasks is coming from P3. Or I would say the base was P3 and they tried to link to other topic. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that's what I wanted to talk today. So we have a complete clarity on everything. I believe I have email for all of you to send. Yeah, any question?
So this month we'll concentrate on E3, P3, F3, and next month onwards, when we get the pre-scene, we'll do the pre-scene, right? And the mocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, we might have to, plus minus 1-2 days here and there, but that's our approximate plan.
Okay.
And if you guys get time, you can watch the video as soon as possible, so you are ahead. I want you guys to come prepared. Unless you are very busy and all, I understand. But let's say we are doing like 2 chapter in one session or 3. So you might need to spend just 1 hour. I think that's possible. And we'll be connecting only on Saturday, Sunday. So you have enough time to spend 2-3 hours. My expectation from you is not much, because timing was the issue as we discussed in the start. Just 15 hours per week, or even 14 hours is fine. 14 hours means 2 hours per day. That's it. Not more than that. Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right then. So that's it for today. I'll share that pre-scene date and everything.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks, Mr.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Misbah.
Thank
Bye.
you so much,
See you
everyone.
next week.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Miss Bye bye.